Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm your host, Veteran Mountain Man, and it's another Prepared Monday. And so we continue to hear how this government shutdown is horrible for the government workers, and that we have about 80,000 government workers on furlough not getting paid. Well, let's take a look at this concept here real quick in the concept of preparedness. Number one, there's already been legislation passed that any furloughed worker will receive full remuneration and back pay pursuant to the idea that they were working the entire time. This is a pretty standard argument anytime the government shuts down, and it's something that regularly happens. Number two, there have been more government shutdowns in the past 20 years than we care to count. And so, if you are operating under the federal government's jurisdiction, and you assume that you have the capability to work paycheck to paycheck without having at least 3 months of back expenses tucked away as an emergency plan, you're fooling yourself. Now, under normal preparedness situations, I tell people they need 3 to 6 months of expense reimbursement, not luxury reimbursement, but expense reimbursement. So your housing allowance, your car payment, your insurance, your utilities, and your food. Now, why do you need this much? Well, in the event that you lose your job, or the event that you're laid off from your job for an extended period of time due to lack of production, or an emergency disaster occurs and it takes 2 to 3 months to rebuild the company, all of these scenarios can happen. And they do happen in the United States on a yearly basis. In fact, in the past 15 years, about 60% of Americans have been unemployed for at least 3 months or been between jobs and had a paycheck go missing. Now, in that situation, the way you deal with it is through savings. But the Democrats would have you believe that everybody lives paycheck to paycheck, including these federal workers. Now, what I'm saying is these federal workers need to start thinking for themselves. And if you work for the federal government and you cannot put away 3 to 6 months of expenses, not pay, expenses, in a savings account to cover you under the condition that you get furloughed due to a government shutdown, then perhaps you need to reevaluate your budgeting and lifestyle. Because everybody goes through periods of unemployment. And I know a lot of people are going to argue, well, see, in the private sector, that's what unemployment insurance is for. Well, I will tell you this. In the state of Tennessee, unemployment insurance covers $250 a week before taxes. In the state of Oregon, it covers $528 a week before taxes. In the state of Oregon, near Portland, where I was living, a 2-bedroom apartment runs between $1,100 and $2,000 a month. If you were making $500 a week, which is 4 weeks to a month average, you can't even afford the rent on a 2-bedroom apartment and have anything on unemployment. The whole concept of unemployment insurance was an idea that people would be able to live on it in an interim, but realistically that's not true. And I don't want to see unemployment insurance increased realistically. What I do want to see is Americans starting to take back the fundamental concept that you should be prepared for an emergency, that you should also be prepared in the event that your neighbor has an emergency, and that we as neighborhoods and communities and small towns, because there are multiple small towns in most metropolitan areas. Look at the city of New York. In New York City, you've got New York and you've got all the boroughs. And they are basically all part of one city, because you've got downtown, you've got Manhattan, you've got Long Island, you've got the Bronx, you've got Brooklyn, you've got Harlem. There's no reason that people in this city can't be prepared to have 6 months of unemployment. And there's no reason the people in New York, in D.C., and in Atlanta, and in Austin, and in Salem, and in San Francisco cannot be prepared in the event that the federal government temporarily suspends their work and lays them off until the government shutdown is over. So instead of making it easier on these people, and instead of just collapsing because, oh my God, somebody's going without a paycheck, it's time that we start saying, you know what, realistically, you're responsible for you. Not the government, not the Democrat Party, not the Republican Party. You are responsible for you. And if you don't plan for the possibility that you will be out of work, that is your fault. Now, once again, I am not advocating the removal of unemployment insurance. I'm also not advocating for the increasement of it. I think that it has its place, but I think a lot of people abuse it, just like the other welfare and entitlement programs. And so instead, I say to you, take a proactive stance. Put some food to the side. Put some money to the side. And just be prepared should something happen. Well, I want to thank you all again for joining me. Please don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube, or to go on over to BitChute and follow and thumbs up this. Also, don't forget you can check me out on my other social media that is down below in the description. Please don't be afraid to follow me on those sites. I do communicate with my followers. I do make posts. I try to be as active as I can. I can't always. And as always, have yourself a beautiful day.